Hello! So today was really weird. Today is a Monday, and it was weird because I went to a very busy part of Tokyo to get my tea shot, and I'm fine. Now this is weird because, like, historically for me, Mondays are the absolute worst. Every other Monday I take like an hour and a half of like buses and trains. Excuse the voice, it's not doing so good today. So yeah, so every other Monday I take like about an hour and a half trains, buses to get to this clinic in Ibisu, and it is pretty busy. It's like, you know, a major station. It's got like the JR, it's got the metro, there's a big shopping center like right over it, over the stations, both of them I think. And then when you come out of the station, like it's right next to like a highway intersection. So it's like ridiculously noisy and loud. And then being on the train, like I take like one train to Ibisu, but it's like an hour and some change sitting on this train. Kitty cat, scritch, scritch, scritch. And it's a subway, so it's like underground, and there's like the rattling, and there's like that kind of like compressed air, like in an airplane kind of sensation. So historically I don't do so good. I'm really like tense by the time I get to Ibisu, and then I have to do needles, which is not fun. And then by the time I get home, it's like 3 o'clock, so I've been like on trains and like on the move for like, it's like 10, it's like 4 or 5 hours, just straight like intense noise and movement. So historically, by the time I get home, I like need a nap or to just like lay down and dissociate for like, you know, 30 to 45 minutes until I'm ready to like start work. And then I'm like exhausted and like not good for work. So long story short, historically, I don't do good on Mondays because I have all this to do. But today was like really weird because today I wore my CALMER inserts, and this is not an ad. Like I'm like, check my follower count. This is not an ad. I'm not being paid. I'm not being sponsored. But I saw some advertisements, as probably you may have. I saw some advertisements for Flare Audio CALMER inserts. Where is my camera? I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, look, it's dark, you can't see. But they're this small, like they're tiny. They're ridiculously tiny. And they have a bunch of earplugs, the company. They have like a lot of audio stuff. And one thing they've been advertising to me is CALMER. And what convinced me to try them was the advertisement said autistic people. It wasn't person first, like people with autism. It wasn't doing that. It was autistic people. And then there were posts, blog posts by autistic people, like really lengthy, detailed blog posts by autistic people documenting their experience with sound, noise sensitivity, and then with the CALMER inserts, and like specific things, like they named specific things that bothered them that rang true to me. So the impression I got from the ads was not that they were like being like trying to appeal to autistic people as like a market, but I mean, yes, trying to appeal to autistic people as a market, but then also real autistic people were having success with them. So I was like, heck, I might as well try them. I often go to Tokyo. Tokyo's heckin' busy. I have to go to the grocery store, which is my own personal hellscape. So I might as well try them. I've had them for about 48 hours at this point. I went to the grocery store the first day with success. I walked around the neighborhood with success. I vacuumed with success. But the real test for me was going out to get my tea shot today, because Mondays, like I said, historically are terrible for me. I can't survive. So from the moment I left home, I had the inserts in. They're really simple. They've, see, again, my camera sucks because it's my smartphone. But you can see they have a curve, and then there's a little tip that helps you, see, again, I suck, that helps you pull it in and out. So the tab faces backwards, so I've kind of got it on my finger like this, and then I'm going to see the tab is facing away, so I'm going to put it in my ear like that. So then the tab is sticking out very easily. I can grab it very easily to take it back out. These are the big size. They have smaller sizes, but these are working pretty good for me, so I just stick them in like that. And what I notice with them, it's not an instant reduction of like noise. Like volume doesn't really change. Like things are still loud. I can still hear things, so if there's like a, you know, traffic or like a bike braking or like overhead music from a store, I can still hear it all. It's still there. And if it's a sound I don't like, I still don't like it. But what I have noticed is emotionally, it doesn't feel like it's piercing my brain as much, if that makes sense. It's really kind of hard to describe. So what I did is I went to Ueno first. I am in Ueno simultaneously testing out CALMER and also taking a boatload of ladies' clothes to the thrift shop to hopefully flip, not for a lot, pennies on the dollar, if that, but at least get it out of my closet. So yeah, trip here was noisy AF, there's lots of construction, and I didn't get a good night's sleep, so like I'm still pretty like sensitive, but it is taking the edge off, and I am able to ignore things that I wouldn't usually, so yeah, getting weird looks from people walking by the street, and I don't want to include people in my video, so yeah, let's go to the thrift stop. And they were like, "Hi, 30分です." Or not 30分, say 40分です. 40 minutes. I was like, 40 minutes? I have to wait in the store for 40 minutes for you to like sort through? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I waited for like, it would turn out to be 30 minutes, but I was fine. Like even with the music and like looking at stuff and like the tight quarters and like it wasn't really busy, but like people there, and I was fine. They were like, all right, they called my number, I came down, I got my stuff, and I was fine. Emotionally, I was fine. Like I didn't feel overwhelmed. So that was new. And then I got back on trains. I got on the Yamanote. The Yamanote is like, it is not an empty train. And then we got to Shinagawa, a bunch of people came in, and like, you know, the trains are rattling and everything was just noisy. Like, and yet I was fine at the train station, on the train. It was still noisy. I didn't like the people there. I didn't like that it was busy. I didn't like everything happening, but the noise wasn't hurting me as much as, like, it wasn't hurting me like usual. I was able to like handle it. And that realization also made me feel calmer, because I was like, oh, like I don't have to feel constantly tense because like sound is gonna hurt me. I can calm down from like that knowledge that I'm gonna be okay. So like I was calmer because the noise wasn't coming in, and then I was also calmer because I realized that it wasn't gonna hurt. So I was like, my stress level was down because I wasn't sort of like waiting to be in pain, which is why I normally would not have done that before I went to Ibisu, before I went, you know, to that busy area. I never would have gone to another part of town early in the morning when I wasn't even awake yet. Like I was not, you know, I was hungry. I wasn't feeling good. I was not set up to handle that like normally. I was not set up. I didn't have a good night's sleep. I was hungry. You know, it was early in the morning. I wasn't like fully awake yet. I was not set up to be successful in that situation. I would not have tried that if I hadn't already tested these in a few other situations and noticed the difference. I never would have tried this, but I did. And I was fine. And now it's like 3:30 and I'm home, and I have like an hour and a half where I have to start work. I feel okay, like energy-wise, emotional, like output-wise. I feel ready to go make lunch, eat lunch, and like do some work before work. Who am I? So for me, the CALMER inserts have made a big difference, mainly in noisy areas, in busy areas, in places with a lot of like sharp or unexpected noise. So you're not you're not getting the full exposure or the full range of sound. Like, I do notice when I'm out and about, if I take out the inserts and I kind of wait, I feel myself start to get tense because I'm like, I'm taking it all in again. And then when I put them back in, it's like, I can ignore this a little bit now. It's like, it's just background noise. I'm a lot more able to focus on things visually because I'm not distracted by sound. I approach things with less fear because I have more confidence that the things that would normally just end me and overwhelm me are not going to do so. And that is incredible to me. It makes me feel like I have a degree of control. I don't have to wait for days when I am at like an optimal level of capability in order to do small things. I can allow myself to go do bigger things at a lower level of like rested, like feeling capable for stuff. Was that a cat? That was cat. Like today, I didn't get a good sleep. I felt kind of headache. I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel like ready to take on what I normally would have to, much less an extra trip to Ueno. But I did it and I was fine, and I actually feel better coming home than I would have normally. So for me, CALMER has definitely been a success. As time goes on and I'm exposed to more things, we'll see how well they work. I can kind of forget that I'm wearing them. I do register them in there, and I still do kind of get the autistic thing. If I'm in like a quiet environment where like I like they're fine. Oh my god, yeah, I don't like them anymore. So I can't really forget I'm wearing them if I'm not like in a busy environment to distract me. But they don't hurt, and they're not like irritating. I'm not that sensitive to sensation. I will say that. Like I'm very picky about my clothes. But if I had to like prioritize which things I'm most sensitive to, I would say like light and sound, and then like sensation, and then like taste and smell. But yeah, so they might they are kind of stiff. I mean, they're squishy, but they're definitely stiff. You can't see a gosh darn thing. You can probably hear my stomach growling. I need to eat something. I'm terrible at this. So they're squishy, but they're also stiff. I do kind of have to put some pressure on them to get them to squish. But they go in, they don't hurt. They're good. So yeah, that's been my experience with CALMER so far. Very excellent. They do have, from what I can see, a pretty good return policy. And if you spend a certain amount, you get free shipping, which I opted to do because I live in Japan. It was gonna be basically the cost of another pair of CALMER, so I just got 2 pairs, and I'm quite happy with the results so far. Emotionally, I kind of understand why they're called CALMER, because the emotional calmness has been the greatest benefit to me, is that my brain isn't being overwhelmed, and I feel calmer because I'm not overwhelmed, and I don't worry as much about being overwhelmed. So yeah, this has been great. I like them. So if you're thinking of trying CALMER, I do recommend doing some research, reading other people's experiences. If you have tinnitus, I've seen some accounts saying that like maybe it won't help as much. I have noticed that if it's quiet and there's kind of a ringing in my ears, the reduction in noise input doesn't actually help. It kind of intensifies the ringing. So if you have tinnitus, I would recommend doing some research, reading other people's accounts before you invest. But if you're thinking about trying them, and if you're like me and you are autistic and sound is the bane of your existence and you have to go out into noisy environments and you just want to like see if something will work to make it a little bit less stressful, I would recommend getting a pair of CALMER or 2, and seeing how they work for you, because they've been pretty good for me so far, and this has been a good day, and I don't think it would have been if I didn't have these. So yeah, again, not sponsored, just my experience, but I hope it's helped you. Please leave any questions below. I'm really happy to answer them. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm doing like a lot of tweet updates about them constantly. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope this was helpful for you. See you next time.